Tyler Meyers running for District 20 PA State Senate, right?
Yes.
Okay. Are you crazy? Why are you doing this?
Well, I think you got to be a little bit crazy, especially to want to go against the establishment of all things. But I'm doing it because I want a better future for my daughter. I feel like I have a civic duty to do it. And as crazy as it sounds, it feels kind of God-ordained to be able to serve my community in a different way since the pathway back to the military has kind of been taken away from me. Can
you explain that? Because that's one of the things that I found interesting about like your history. So you enlisted in what, 2014?
Yes.
Okay. Tell me about your experiences in the military. What branch did you enlist in? And
well, I signed up in 2014. I went down to, I did my training at Fort Jackson, South Carolina, went out for advanced individual training out of Fort Sill, Oklahoma. I was
advanced individual training.
Yeah.
What
AIT.
is that?
It's like you go for basic training. It teaches you Army standards, the basics.
Oh, you were in the Army?
Yeah.
Oh, you're a grunt.
Oh, sorry.
They
I
came
should have
after
mentioned that.
You're a grunt.
Yeah.
My buddy, one of my best friends is an Army Ranger.
Okay.
Yeah. So is his dad, and I believe his grandfather.
Yeah.
So he's like a long history of those. Okay. So advanced individualized training.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I went to be a high mobility artillery rocket system crew member. So
okay, explain that to me.
It's a very easy explanation. It's a HIMARS for short. It's basically a truck with a giant rocket launcher on the back.
Okay.
Yeah, and it's from ground to ground. So we'll fire rockets from the truck. It'll hit a ground location. It could launch. I think the unclassified information on it is like 350 kilometers. You can
holy crap.
Out. Yeah.
Okay.
So you can reach out and touch somebody with that thing. And when I signed up after like seeing 9/11 as a kid and everything.
How old were you when 9/11 happened?
I think I was 9. Hold on, let me think. No, hold on. I might have been younger than 9.
So that Army Ranger buddy, I had him on the podcast the day after, like the week of the Afghanistan withdrawal.
Yeah.
He was so pissed. And we were talking about like 9/11, and I was 21. I was just like, my birthday's in July. So it was, and I was so hung. It was a Tuesday.
Yeah.
And I was so hungover from the night before, and I woke up for some reason to like, I'm like, I need a glass of milk or something. And it was like 8, almost 9 o'clock. And I was looking at the TV going like, I turned the TV on, and this was before like Netflix and all that shit. And like you only had like 40, 50 channels on the cable box.
Okay. And
I'm like, why are they showing the footage from 93? And then the second plane hit. And like everything changed.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. It was for people like my wife was born in 93 in Russia, and she came over to America when she was like 13. And she tells a story about like the Russians really didn't know much about what happened in 9/11.
Yeah.
So like her teacher was like, what do you mean you don't know about 9/11? And I think it really changed. I think it's one of the pivotal moments in our country. I think the Kennedy assassination was a big one. And I think 9/11 was a huge one because it changed everything moving forward, especially with like the Patriot Act and then the war in Afghanistan and the war in Iraq.
Oh yeah.
And you know, I'm for anybody who was under 9 years old at that time, it was a very crazy moment in history, which I think we're still feeling to this day.
Oh yeah. And that was what really did it for me. And I scored great on the ASVAB. I could have picked any job that I wanted to, but I chose field artillery because I thought like I want to make a splash, and nothing makes a bigger splash than
shooting a rocket from 350 kilometers away or miles or whatever.
Yeah, exactly. Then I went down. I was stationed at Fort Bragg, North Carolina, and spent about 4 years down there. I actually, right before I left, my then girlfriend, we found out she was pregnant.
Okay. Terrifying and exciting at the same time.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And I made it time. Actually, I made it back just in time after AIT to see her be born. And she was born on President's Day of all days.
The irony is not lost on me.
Yeah. So naturally, we named her Liberty. And that's what that one's for.
Oh, really? Oh, that's awesome. What's her middle name?
Marie.
Okay.
I wanted it to be Belle. My ex-wife would not go for it.
Do you remember a guy named Teddy Daniels around here that was running all the time? Did you ever hear his son's name?
No, I didn't.
Jack Daniels.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, he did that. Yeah, that's fun. Interesting. All right, so Liberty, that's a beautiful name, man. That's cool. All right, I get it.
We actually couldn't agree on a girl's name until Liberty, but
all right.
Oh yeah, that's what I was talking about. Fort Bragg. So we were at
I distracted you with your children.
Yeah, we were down at Fort Bragg for about 4 years, and then after that, I realized like, well, maybe field artillery isn't the best when I'm trying to go from active duty military to Army Reserves, and there's no job qualifications for blowing things up in the civilian world.
Right.
So I went to military intelligence out here thinking that could provide me some pathways either within government or it could just with the communication skills and everything that you get through military intelligence.
Without disclosing anything, what does military intelligence encompass? Well,
my job was human intelligence collections. So it would be to interrogate prisoners, but after the Abu Ghraib situation. Yeah. Our handbook was actually the only Army handbook that was U.S. law.
What does that mean?
So it's not just under the Uniform Code of Military Justice. It's like federal law. Okay. So everything that you do, it has to be done by the handbook. But unfortunately, due to COVID and everything, while I was in the military, I wasn't even able to get MOS qualified. I was supposed to go down to Marietta, Georgia to do AIT down there. That's that advanced individual training.
You might have to keep telling me about these acronyms because I don't know what they are.
Yeah. I was going to do some time down in Marietta, Georgia, and then they were going to send me to a town near, I think it's like Monterey, California.
Okay.
To learn Russian. And
you should meet my wife.
Yeah.
Yeah. Can you speak Russian at all?
Not at all.
Oh, okay. Then don't meet my wife.
Yeah. I know. Duh.
Yeah. Yeah. So what happened? So COVID hits in March of 2020.
Yeah.
And where are you at?
March of 2020, I was actually waiting. I had orders to go down to Marietta, Georgia to begin my training. COVID shut everything down. All the orders got canceled. And then obviously Trump's still in and everything. So we were good. I was able to go to basic leadership course down in Fort Indian Town Gap in Pennsylvania to get my promotable status to become an NCO. And I couldn't get my promotion until I was MOS qualified. So everything was held up there. And when Trump got knocked out of there, however you feel about the election,
I feel very indifferent about it.
Yeah. I agree. We'll just leave that topic at that.
Yeah.
But and the other guy came in and started pushing around all these vaccine mandates and everything. It became pretty evident that
which they promised they weren't going to do.
Well, they were completely against the vaccines until it was them wielding that power.
Yeah, I believe it was like a day or two after the election where they said, "Oh, we have a vaccine."
Yeah.
Which was really strange to me.
And I think it was a couple of weeks before the election where Kamala Harris was coming out saying,
I will never take Trump's vaccine.
Yeah,
yes.
Exactly.
Yes.
Exactly. But and then after that, they were perfectly fine with forcing it on every service member, regardless of the fact that it didn't stop you from getting the virus.
Didn't stop you from transmitting it.
Exactly. So really all that it was doing.
Did you know all this?
Yeah. At this point, like there's been enough by 2022, I believe it was either 2022 or 2023 was when the vaccine mandates really came down hard on us. And I was basically given the option by my commanding officer, either because my contract was set to expire 1 month after the vaccine mandate went into effect. And he said I could let my contract expire and leave with an honorable discharge while I'm using my GI Bill and everything else. Or if I re-enlist, they'll have to start chapter paperwork and they'll push me out of the Army and they're going to push for a general discharge.
Which is you get nothing, right?
That's what I wasn't sure about and I didn't want to risk it. So I don't know if they take any bit of the GI Bill away. I really didn't want to find out. And plus, with the way things were going and the direction we were heading, you don't know if the election was even on the up and up. So is anybody who's going to have my best interest ever going to be in office again, or am I going to just have to deal with mandate after mandate? And I certainly wasn't going to get the vaccine. I didn't want to. I just learned about mRNA in my biology.
Just
learned about the intricate details of mRNA in my biology class at Misericordia University, and just knowing that its main purpose was to produce a spike protein in the same way that mRNA would be read through the ribosome and have all of these things occur in your body in an unnatural way. And I knew that was stuff that
I believe the right word is artificial.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, exactly. Yes. And in an artificial way.
Yeah.
And there's no long-term studies on this. There's nothing that we can refer back to be like, oh, this is completely safe. We know everything about this. And then on top of that, I think by this time, I think it was, correct me if I'm wrong, because I'm not. Just so you know, I was considered non-essential. Okay.
And I couldn't work, couldn't make money. Everyone was afraid to even be on camera because that's what I do.
Yeah.
Right. And according to the CDC, I could have 287 people here.
Wow.
But no one would come. And there was this whole fear of like, if we do anything on camera, then people will know that we skirted whatever mandates there were. And I tell this story a lot. It was, so I was terrified of COVID for the first 2 weeks. And then I started to use, I guess you would call it critical thinking, because I started to go like, does this make sense? Because what I started to look like was okay, what's my age group? What's my risk of getting injured or die?
Yeah.
And it was mostly in the elderly. And one of the big things that like I started to realize was I was starting to advocate aggressively for the schools to be open behind the scenes, because I thought that the damage that was going to happen to children was going to be unfathomable.
Absolutely.
So I started looking at all that data, and then I sent my sister was going to school board meetings up in Abington to advocate to take the masks off the kids. Mm-hmm. And the study that I found was that 36 in a million children die from the flu each year, and only 6 in a million were dying from COVID. And that was a big, like, it's 600 times more for the flu. What are we doing to these kids?
Yeah.
It's insane. And then my sister went and spoke, and the next morning, the newspaper called all the parents that were at that school board meeting domestic terrorists. And that's when I guess the switch flipped in me, where I was like, this is madness.
Oh yeah.
And from that moment on, I was like, okay, so usually when things in authority, whether it's the media or politicians or like even at your job, when they tell you not to look in a place, that's the place you should absolutely be looking.
Yeah.
And I started looking up Malone and McCullough and just trying to like vet the information and say like, is this true? I was calling nurses here locally, doctors. And then I started to realize like, oh my God, this is all bullshit. And that obviously got me into the anti-vax community.
Yeah.
And they started to educate me on like the history of vaccines and what's in them and how the products are made and how they're forced upon people. And, you know, the flu shot has something called negative efficacy. Mm-hmm. And the mRNA, which was a new technology, and the way it worked was terrifying.
Yeah.
This is why you see like all these like I don't even care anymore about like YouTube kicking us off or anything, because it's like I know I'm over the target in some way if you're kicking me off, because I've seen a lot of videos on YouTube about the craziest shit and they're still on there.
Oh yeah.
And it's really crazy what they allow. Mm-hmm. I'm a free speech absolutist. And I'm a free speech absolutist because it lets you know who the crazy people are.
Yeah. Yeah.
And who the hateful people are and who the evil people are. And once they started when they started cracking down real big on doctors who were trying to push back on this stuff, that's when I knew something was up. And then I was never, the first 2 weeks of COVID, I'm like, I can't wait to the vaccine. And then I was like, no, absolutely not. Absolutely not. And that's why you see like all these women with uterine issues, turbo cancers. I mean, all these things are real and they don't want to talk about it because I think there's like this collective. I don't think people want to admit that they made a mistake. And I also don't think that people want to admit that like out of fear, they put this into their own children.
Yeah. And it's like a sunken cost fallacy at that point. Like, if I admit to being wrong about this, exactly like you said, like, then I'm basically admitting to myself that I'm not a good parent to my child.
Which like I empathize with that. That's a terrible position to be in, and that's something that you never want to admit because like your job is to protect your kids.
Yeah,
and if you didn't do that, it's going to be really hard unless you're a total sociopath. It's really hard to put your head on the pillow knowing that information, and that's why like I was advocating for. I'm like, just don't do it. Like I know that you think I'm crazy. I know that you think that like you think I'm trying to hurt your grandparents and your kids, but I'm not. Like I just want you to be as safe as possible. And this is the largest experiment on human beings in human history.
Yeah. And that area where I said, correct me if I'm wrong, Robert Malone was the guy who was
he has like 7 patents on mRNA technology from the 80s.
Yeah. So he was
and he took it.
Yeah.
He took the vaccines.
And then came out against it afterwards.
There's a lot of people that you talk to now that they're like, I've never met someone who, well, unless they're totally like absolutely blue hair crazy people that don't regret it. Most of the people I know that got it are like, I wish I can go back in time and not do that.
Yeah.
And like everybody has agendas. They have their own biases. Like I get it, and I just, because I had a bunch of military buddies in my life who were advocating against the mandates in the military and they were all willing to quit.
Oh yeah.
What was the I guess the atmosphere amongst like in your circle in the military about the mandates?
Well, I could tell you, I was fresh off of the back of that basic leadership course down in Fort Indian Town Gap. So a lot of my unit, there was a lot of people very sympathetic to my cause. There was a lot of people in line with my cause, but also being a military intelligence unit, a lot of people in that unit are college educated, more on the liberal side. And,
who would have thought college educated is a pejorative now?
Yeah. Well, I mean,
it's an indoctrination camp of psychos.
Actually, what goes right alongside the being forced out of the military with the COVID vaccines, I was forced into an institutional mandate at Misericordia University. And
wait, what?
Yeah, at Misericordia University, they wanted everybody to have proof of vaccination, and if you didn't provide it, they would offer you like this little carve out where you have to go and get tested once a week to prove that you're COVID negative.
With that big swab?
Yeah, and yeah, exactly. But I'm just going to go for that. I'm not going to go and get the mRNA technology put on my arm, especially when I think by this time Robert Malone was already speaking out against it.
There was a lot of people speaking out against it. A lot.
And then there was like the Barrington Declaration.
There was Jay Bhattacharya, Martin Kulldorff, and who was the third guy? But they were I think they were Princeton.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they were and it was basically like everything that you knew about how to deal with viral airborne viral infectious diseases since like the Spanish flu. It was like, here's all the things you shouldn't do to make it worse.
Yeah. And not to mention, like, if we knew that it doesn't stop you from getting the virus and it doesn't stop you from spreading the virus, then all we're doing with these experimental vaccinations is putting evolutionary pressures on the virus to begin with.
Yeah, it'll make it mutate. Exactly. And it'll get worse.
And they at that same time, I got into arguments with professors that were telling me
college,
that
who were teaching biology.
Yes, telling me. Well, this guy was teaching psychology, but telling.
Oh, why is it the psychologists are always the crazier ones? Like they don't make any sense.
But he was telling me that I was putting evolutionary pressures on the virus to mutate because I wasn't getting vaccinated, and I'm like, well,
none of that makes sense.
That doesn't make any sense at all. And you're the professor; you should know this. But the vaccine mandates that they had at Misericordia, they had that carve out where I can go get tested, and they sent.
That's a Christian school, isn't it, or Catholic?
Yeah, Catholic. And they sent me. Because it gets worse. They sent me one of the meeting locations or times to go get tested, and it went to my spam folder, and I didn't see it. And they sent me a $100 fine for missing the test.
You got to be kidding me.
Yeah, so I'm a working class guy. I'm $100, especially when you're in school, and especially during COVID, can hit you pretty hard. So I went and
Would the school find you?
Yeah.
What gives them that authority?
I have no idea. But I went and asked them to basically waive the $100 fine and take it off of my my records. And when I went in there to show them that it was in my spam folder, she agreed, like, yeah, we'll take this off. But above her head is the big Black Lives Matter banner, and then to the left of that was the Progress Pride flag.
Oh my God!
And I thought, okay, well, thank you for waiving the fine for me, and now I want my transcripts. I'm getting the heck out of here. And I transferred to King's College and eventually got my degree in psychology and philosophy over there instead of doing it at Misericordia. All because of the vaccine mandates. And from what I hear, King's kind of instituted their own, but by the time I transferred, everybody kind of saw the light and everybody was lifting it.
There was like this crazy madness about like, that's one of the things. It's like, okay, so like we're going to spend a few years in like your sophomore, junior, senior year where you're not going to school. Everybody's crazy. Everybody's stuck home with their parents. Like one of the things that was like crazy to me during that time was like, abusive families are terrible.
Yeah.
Right. And, you know, I don't know how to course correct what happens at home, but sometimes for kids, the only reprieve they have is to go to school. And now you're keeping kids home with their abusers.
Yep.
And everybody was okay with that. Nobody really talked about that.
Yeah.
Everybody was terrified of like this thing that like the Brady Bunch taught us how to deal with.
Yeah.
You know, I don't know. What was the tone like in, I mean, were you going to classes in Misericordia, or was it all online? Or
I was going to classes, but it was one of those things where you had to have your mask on all the time. I think at the very start of it, in March of 2020, it was all virtual for the rest of that semester.
Yeah.
And then when we started going back, everything was mask on all the time. Speaking of which, I was in the college Republicans for Misericordia University. And
they allowed that?
Well, this is yeah, it's funny. Maybe this is why they allowed it. I was speaking out against the mask mandates. I was speaking out against the vaccine mandates and the requirements to go and get tested every week, and how like the vaccines aren't stopping you from getting it. Everything we already talked about. I was saying all of this stuff then. And I was told by the president of the college Republicans at the time that I should just stop it. I should just get the vaccine and all this other stuff. So I actually stopped being a member of the College Republicans Misericordia and started a Young Americans for Liberty chapter at Misericordia. And we were taken off until the university nuked our page on Instagram for copyright infringement for using their
the Misericordia logo.
Yeah, the Misericordia logo and Misericordia names, because we were
a school group.
Yeah. But to be fair, it wasn't 100% finished with the proper channels to become
like the approval to be a club.
Yeah, yeah. But we were operating as one anyways. We were growing very, very fast. We were up to, I think, 20 members, and on the Instagram page had up to like 2,000 or 3,000 followers in just like a month's time.
And then they nuked it.
Yeah.
You know why they nuked it?
Yeah, of course.
Because you know why.
Yeah. There was the lack of action with the college Republicans. We had the exact opposite. So if there was a protest scheduled on campus, we would basically hijack it and make it about all of our issues. It's like, especially if we supported it, it's like, yeah, it's about this. And also, why are we wearing these masks?
What does that say about like the Republicans on campus? Like what, like, so we think that we're in these two groups. We think we're in the group of D or R.
Yeah.
Right. And I think we're under this illusion that the D and the R together are the most popular. That's the crazy part about it. Like independents are like 48, 49% of the voting.
Yeah.
Public. And D and R is like 25, 25. So like we're all arguing over whose quarter is right, which doesn't make any sense because it's not even a majority by math.
Yeah, exactly. And not only that, but especially in a state like Pennsylvania, where you have to have you have to belong to one of those D or R's in order to make any kind of substantive change at a primary level. So, I mean, if anybody's listening to this right now, get onto that R. But we get basically, with that large sect of independent voters, they get the choice of what one of those quarters picks for them. for the November election.
Yeah, somebody said to me, do you elect or do they allow you to select
Exactly
the people who represent you?
And before I get off topic, you said something about like it's surprising with the college Republicans and everything. It's not that surprising. I've actually found out recently they're actually being paid to knock doors for my opponent.
The college Republicans from Misericordia.
Yeah. So I don't think it's
what's the hourly there? How much you get paid for that?
God only knows. It can't be that much though, right?
Well, isn't it supposed to be that like you're not supposed to like endorse in a primary and you're not supposed to like basically pick a side in a primary? So like wouldn't it be against, I guess, the Republican tenets for that group to say, hey, we'll support you in a general, but like all's fair up for the primary?
Yeah, well, I could tell you right now, we're up against the establishment already on a GOP level, politically, and in a GOP level at the college level, which the college level is like here nor there. That's a minute thing.
Is that something people don't understand? The establishment, like what is that?
Well, I can tell you, ever since we announced that we were running against her, there's been like an antibody response to us running. So there's people speaking out on official Republican committee pages, trying to slander me, sharing my opponent's campaign information that she's putting out on her campaign website. It's as establishment as it really gets. You see people who are running for statewide elections coming out and speaking on her behalf and saying like the Senate is in jeopardy. So if her seat is threatened in any type of way, then, we're going to lose the Senate. And this will be the first time that the Senate has been in danger for flipping blue in 40 years. And it's not going to be at this seat. This is one of the most safe Republican seats in the entire state of Pennsylvania. So
when you say establishment, what is that? Just so people like understand, because I think there's a lot of people who think that like so we're in Lackawanna County right now. It's pretty blue.
Absolutely.
Right? And there are people who like, there's a Democrat establishment around here and blah, blah, blah. Right. So what they don't, it seems like they almost don't think that there is a Republican one. So what would that look like down by you guys? And you don't have to like name names or anything, but like, is there a hierarchy? Like, is there people, is it money interests? Is it, because I know I go off on like these crazy things, but so my buddy calls it a fractal problem, right? So if you look at Washington, DC, and we can all observe the screwiness that goes on there, and like who's involved in the media and the power brokers and the people who make all the donations and who runs the PACs and all that stuff. He goes, it's the same thing as you go down the state level, the local level. There's always people in power who are trying to manipulate things, who want to get what they want, and they obviously want somebody who's a yes person for them, and not somebody who actually represents the people. It's more like elitist. Would that be a better
100%? Well, I could tell you, I know for sure that my opponent and a lot of elected officials will meet on every Thursday to have dinner. This is what I've been told anyways.
Just like they do in DC.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
To basically find ways in which they can help each other out. And here's a perfect example of the antibody response that I'm talking about. The first event that we went to, the first petition signing, was in Luzerne County, in Wilkes-Barre Township, and every candidate was supposed to have, I think it was like 2 to 3 minutes to be able to have a speech.
It's like a stump speech.
Yeah.
Yeah.
After they found out that Lisa Baker had a challenger, none of the candidates had the opportunity to talk anymore. Now there was only 3 candidates that were going to be given the opportunity to speak. That would, 2 were running on a state level. One federally elected congressman, I'm not going to name names, and some other important people. 2 out of the 3 people gave 4 or 5 minute stump speeches for Lisa Baker. This is why you got to vote for her. And
not for themselves.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then the other one has a pretty tight race that this person's going to be running. So he refrained from saying anything at all. But I wouldn't put it past anyone for how they're talking behind closed doors or to constituents. But so you go from every candidate having the opportunity to speak for 2 or 3 minutes to now no candidate's going to be able to speak, but 2 out of the 3 that are speaking are, or no candidate who was there getting petition signing is going to be able to speak except for one. No, two. All right. So 3 candidates are going to be able to speak, not none. So 3 candidates are able to speak. 2 out of the 3 of them are going to stump for Lisa Baker and try to get everybody to rally behind her, scaremonger you into thinking like this seat's in jeopardy if she's not the one that's going to be running in the general election.
And you're in the room, right?
Yeah.
Okay. That's weird.
But this is the thing that made it all laughable was after one of the 5-minute speeches, this guy turns around and his very next sentence is, and we've got to bring back the saying, drain the swamp. And I almost like audibly laughed. Like
it's literally the swamp telling you to drain itself.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And a personal story about like ever since I decided that I was going to run against her, I would wake up in the morning thinking, what am I doing? Like, what am I getting myself into? This is crazy. And the confidence builds throughout the day. I'm doing the right thing. I'm doing this for the right reasons.
Yeah.
I'm coming to create a better future for my child and for children throughout the Commonwealth. And that was the one night after seeing that and realizing that fractal element of the swamp that I went to bed thinking, what am I getting myself into?
Right.
Yeah. But I don't know. I prayed on it. I had some other people pray for me, and I'm 100% confident I'm in it for all the right reasons. And if they want to slander me or have this reaction where I'm on the outs, they're on the ins, and the best way that I can describe it is an antibody. Like they're all white blood cells attacking the foreign object.
What is it? Because I'm not familiar with the politics down there, and it seems like pretty red, like especially down by like Jamie's district and Rinkavich, and
for sure.
So it's just strange to me that like the party that like I didn't leave the Democratic Party. The Democratic Party left me. They went crazy. Nothing was about solving anything. It was all about identity politics, and I'm starting to see now that like the same things that I didn't like about the Democratic Party are existing in the Republican Party.
Yeah.
And how does one overcome that? Because it's like, it's always like all's fair in love and war. May the best person win the race. Give everybody a fair shot. And then you see all these antibodies come out to try to protect against an illness that isn't.
Well,
do you know what I mean? Like you're a veteran.
Yeah.
A lot of people don't have degrees. You have degrees. You furthered your education. You have children that you care about. You have family and friends that you care about. Like what would make you the enemy to that? Is it financial? Do you think?
I could tell you some personal financial things with her, but I think it's just power for the sake of power. They're in it for themselves. Like that meeting every Thursday where they're in there. How can I help you maintain? And if I'm helping you, I'm scratching your back. You're going to scratch my back when I need it. And they're just going to anoint their person when that time comes. Like,
so are regular citizens invited to this Thursday meeting?
No, absolutely not.
So people who have concerns about like the cost of their utilities or their taxes or any of that, they're not invited to this Thursday meeting. I
mean, we're talking about somebody who...
The people who vote for them aren't there?
We're talking about somebody who voted in favor of increasing the spending in our budget by $4 billion and claims to be a Republican and claims to stand for the utilities that we have. She the last time she voted in 2013 for an increase in the Pennsylvania.
Oh, she's been there that long.
She's been there since 2006.
Oh,
yeah. When she got in, I was 12 years old.
I didn't realize that. Okay.
No, I don't think anybody should be in there that long. I think we should have term limits. Okay, let's go back to this. What made you go like, oh, I'm going to Geronimo and take the leap to run against somebody who's been there since you were 12? Yeah. 12 years old.
Yeah.
Well, I could tell you her specifically was because I saw Jamie Walsh's documentary on the app KOOTH. And
I know nothing about it.
Yeah,
Tell me about it.
Well, let me inform you.
Yeah.
Apparently, this is a United Kingdom based company that had I think it was like a 552% increase in children in which the schools it was implemented in gender searching, as it was put. I actually got a quote on a piece of paper where one of the employees is bragging about this fact, a 552% increase in children searching for their gender. And the
children are, I mean, they're in schools. The kids are aged, the kids who can use this, do you know what ages they're allowed to use it?
From 11 to 17 years old, it was reaching.
Oh, I think the formative years. Interesting.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And it was passed off as a mental health app, and this is gonna help alleviate pressure for school counselors, and this is gonna help us all. And it's like during the height of the culture war, basically, and they're not gonna give this any type of
and the trauma caused by the shut down schools.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
and not only that, but yeah, exactly. The trauma from the shutdown schools. That's why we need it.
Yeah.
Because we've created a crisis. So now let government help you out of the crisis. That's the way it always works. But I thought that only worked that way for Democrats. And then come to find out, like, her son is the lobbyist that brought it to the United States in the first place.
How interesting.
Yeah. And that's what I think a lot of people don't understand is, like, it's not like he just brought it to Pennsylvania. He brought it to the United States. The first place that it ever came through was Harrisburg. The first headquarters that was ever built in the United States of America was in 44, right here in her district. So that's huge. You're exposing our children from 11 to 17 to transgender ideology, and you're passing it off as mental health. And you're a Republican running, or who's in a Senate seat for about 20 years in the reddest district in the state of Pennsylvania. This district was carved out intentionally for a Republican to be there.
So I forget who I had on. It might have been Jamie, but then I had like Ed Brun and Amy Carrazza on. Yeah. But I think it was Jamie and Benny. I had Jamie and Benny Herring on.
Okay.
And there used to be a guy here named Dan who used to do all the switching and stuff before I found like an app that'll switch all the cameras. Like,
replaced by AI. Look at this.
Hey man, he wasn't getting paid anyways. And so like we were talking about it, and KOOTH wasn't like the subject. Like they weren't coming on to talk about KOOTH. It was just like an aside.
Yeah.
And Dan logged in. He signed up for KOOTH, logged in, and was anonymously talking to children on the podcast.
Wow. See.
So he goes, hey man, I just want to interject. By the way, I'm logged in. My name is blah. My handle is blah blah blah, and I'm talking to people right now. And I was like, wait, whoa, what?
Wasn't it something like a well-meaning? What was the term that they gave to adults who wanted to go on there and counsel children? Like well-meaning people?
Predators.
Yeah. but the app called it something like well-meaning individuals or something like that.
So. And it was at that time that they told me it was in the Scranton School District.
Yeah.
And I didn't know about that. Mm-hmm. And I knew a couple school directors, and one of them, it was like for like 6 weeks I'm like, dude, you got to watch this podcast. Like this is in our schools. And he's like, I'll get to it. Cause most people, like, what are they? It was lobbied to be put in the Scranton School District. Yep. It was sold under the same premise that you said. There was no gender, trans stuff in there at all that they were told. It was lobbied for heavily, and the school district didn't have to pay for it. It was one of those things that was paid for by, I forget what else, but I didn't care. Like that wasn't my deep dive. And I said to him, look, whoever is advocating for this at the school district, tell them to go in the other room, set up an account, and tell them that they're going to be able to talk to kids randomly. Nobody's going to know who they are. Mm-hmm. And I said, they're going to tell you that that's not possible. I said, and 10 minutes later, they're going to come out of that room and they're going to go, uh-oh. And that's exactly what happened.
Yep.
And they found a way, they found a way for the school board to not even have a vote on it, to just get it out. Mm. And it was like this huge thing that like Jamie and Benny and everybody fought for. And you'd think that like at the end of it, when you've successfully gotten it out, there'll be like this huge like fireworks and everything. Yeah. And it was one of those like, yeah, we signed onto it and we really don't recommend it anymore. And everyone's like, oh, okay. And that was it. And it was gone. And then it's, subsequently from there, it's been taken out of a lot of other places. But like, that's a crazy, KOOTH seemed to me like a really crazy brainwashing that was going to allow, and you're taking away parental rights, which is even crazier because you don't know whether or not your kids are signed up for it. You don't know when they're using it. You don't know who they're talking to. You don't know who none of the air quote therapists had to be like licensed therapists.
Exactly. Some of them were going by names like Sparrow or like Pigeon, and with they them pronouns, and just like you said, there was absolutely no parental consent. So your child can sign up for this in the school without the parents even knowing that it's happening. All of a sudden, your kid comes home and is identifying as a furry, and you don't know why. And like,
it's still such a strange concept to me to be like, I now identify as a cat.
Yeah. And
like,
regardless about the contract being pulled here in Pennsylvania, it's still active in California. It's probably active in Colorado. It's probably active in New Jersey, New York, any blue state where they champion this kind of crap. And it was all brought on by a Republican in one of the reddest districts in our state.
What do people think about that? Have you talked to people about this? Like, is KOOTH still an issue down there?
I could tell you, the moment that we start talking about KOOTH, there's been times where somebody says that they are a loyal friend to her, that they went to high school together, and we start talking about KOOTH, and then all of a sudden they're signing our petitions for us, and deservingly so, because I'm not going to be convinced that they weren't aware of what this app was before they brought it here, considering her son was the lobbyist that worked for them. But even if they weren't aware and they really thought that they were doing the best thing for everybody and that it wasn't a money thing, for the headquarters to be brought to her district or for her son to be benefiting financially from it. Or,
I believe they employed the mayor.
And not only that, but then they flew several legislators out to like Arizona.
Ironically, during the Super Bowl.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And ironically, during the Super Bowl. And then also ironically, then a member of the Philadelphia Eagles is all of a sudden trying to get kids in these schools signed up for the app. But
how does that happen?
Money.
But so the way I understood KOOTH is like they would have like billboards and stuff like that in England, where it was like you had to see the billboard, you'd sign up for it, and when they brought it to the States, it was just adopted.
Yeah.
So there was no advertising for it or anything. The advertisement was basically done by the school counselors.
Well, the bill that they drafted gave the company $3 million in Pennsylvania taxpayer dollars. So there's no need for advertisement. They could just implement it.
That's so scary.
Mm-hmm.
And it makes you think about like, what else are they doing?
Yeah, exactly. And nobody's ever, this is what I was saying, nobody's ever going to convince me that they weren't aware of what they were doing when they were doing it, and that they were doing it probably for personal financial gain, or worse, who knows? Maybe it's demonic, but
Moloch.
Yeah, right. Sell some more kids down in a kids for cash type scandal. But that's exactly what it's akin to too, is the kids for cash thing. But either it's intentional and it's disgusting, reprehensible behavior for personal gain or for darker meanings, or it's a complete show of incompetency.
Either way, it's bad.
Yeah.
And you're harming children.
Yeah, exactly. And something like that is unforgivable. And it doesn't matter if it was wittingly or unwittingly, you got to go.
Is there like certain things that like, even for like elected, like, is this one of those things that you don't give a politician grace for?
Yeah, exactly. That's my exact thought, because if we can't trust you with our children and you're going to be deceptive with it or just stupid with it, you're either stupid or you're deceptive. Those are the only two options. So either way, you're not eligible for the seat anymore. And to make matters worse, and talking about selling the souls of children and Moloch and things like that, when I started digging more into her voting record in the past, that's when I found out like she's a Republican in one of the reddest districts in the state of Pennsylvania, and she is totally pro-abortion.
Interesting.
Yeah. And for me, like, I get it. Like, it's a cultural issue. Even people on the Republican side are kind of like, well, I personally wouldn't do it, but
I had a total switch. I was pro-choice, and now I'm like,
Exactly.
Like, exactly. I get it. Like, I get like the trauma. Like, I work with some nonprofits around here that work with children, and we've had spirited debates about this.
Yeah.
and I can't do anything to change it. And I know that the abortion issue is such a hot topic. But do you know who Tom McDonald is?
Yeah.
The rapper.
Yep.
So in one of his songs, he has bacteria is life on Mars, but a heartbeat isn't life on Earth. Weird.
Mm-hmm.
And that was the thing that I was like, wait a second, what is this? And then I looked into I'm like, have they always done abortions throughout history?
Yeah.
And then I was like, what happened? Who's Margaret Sanger?
Yeah.
And I started
looking the things she advocated for.
I started looking into it, and then like I started listening to black like cultural leaders, and they would talk about this in a way where it's like you know that like we've destroyed 70 million black children that will never be born.
I think at one point in time there was more black babies being aborted in New York City than being born.
That's madness.
Yeah.
And
that's
especially when you look at like the mission statement of Planned Parenthood.
Yeah.
You're like, this is dark.
Yeah.
And we're still like doing it.
Yep.
It's like after I don't, and people think I'm crazy for it, and I really don't care. It's like, you know, they say like, you know, who am I to speak about it? I'm a man. I can't have a say in anything.
Because everybody knows that women just like get pregnant on their own.
Yeah, immaculate. It's always immaculate.
Yeah.
And then like they say it's a woman's choice. And I say, okay, like everyone has a choice to do what their body is, just like the COVID vaccine.
Yeah.
But
exactly.
the kid doesn't have a choice.
Mm-hmm.
You know? Like what about that kid's choice? The kid who's not born yet. You know? I saw there was a video in a lab, and it was, did you know that there's a flash of zinc?
Yeah.
I didn't.
At the moment of conception.
I did not know that.
Yeah.
And I'm getting chills just thinking about it, because I saw that and I was like, okay, there's something more cosmic to this than I'll ever understand.
Yeah.
And something really beautiful.
Absolutely. And I mean, I'm a Christian, so I think that's the moment. That's the moment in which like the breath of life, the breath of God is given to you. You are a human being at that moment, and science backs that.
How does somebody justify as a Christian conservative that's okay?
Well, I don't even know if she claims to be a Christian conservative. I think she claims to be a conservative only when it's convenient. The only time I've ever seen her say anything along the lines of conservative values was, funny enough, when she was challenged by Jackie Baker. Jackie Baker is
I don't know that name.
Yeah, she's the Democrat running in District 20.
Okay.
And funny enough, she ran this is how red the District 20 is. She ran her general election as though it was a primary, claiming to be a conservative, even though she didn't vote that way.
Jackie did?
No.
Lisa
did.
Okay.
Yeah. So
I mean, the record stands for itself, right? Most people don't know. Most people don't know how their elected officials vote.
Well, I'll tell you. Regardless of how you feel, this is what I started saying earlier. Sorry, and you might be.
You are. I'm a scatterbrain, so just I'm just like a shiny thing. Like that's all I see.
Yeah.
So,
but the issue of abortion being contentious even among Republicans, I think we can all agree, at least as Republicans, that we shouldn't have taxpayer funded abortion.
Sure.
She voted against a constitutional amendment that would ban taxpayer funded abortions.
It would ban it.
Yeah.
She voted against the ban
for taxpayer funded abortions.
So
she was one of two Republicans to do so.
So people who are highly pro-life, their tax money are going to end life.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Even if, because it did end up passing, because it's a Republican held Senate.
No, I'm just saying, like, the taxpayers. Forget about who the elected representatives is. Like, there are a lot of people who don't want their money going towards that at all. Not even a nickel.
Exactly. And I mean, how is that not a violation of our religious freedoms to say, I'm going to take money from you, and that's almost like a tithe going to go to killing a baby in the womb?
Jeepers cats.
But she also voted against Down syndrome being an acceptable reason for an abortion. So that's literally the definition of a genocide, is when you're killing people just based on what or who they are. Like as a people. So if you have the diagnosis of Down syndrome, it is acceptable for you to be killed in the womb just for being diagnosed with Down syndrome.
You know, do you know who Kathy Barnett is?
I love Kathy Barnett. She helped actually shape my views on pro-life.
So she's been here.
Really?
Oh yeah. So our county commissioner did a podcast called Street Level.
Yeah.
And I would produce it, and Kathy was here. And like they ended, and she's like, and she was asking me questions. She's like, no, you get over here now. So we did like, 20 minutes of her and I. And, she's a child of rape.
Yep.
And she's an awesome person.
Absolutely.
And like her mom's an awesome person from what she says.
Yeah.
She grew up on a pig farm, like totally broke.
Dirt floor.
And now she's a badass.
Mm-hmm.
And I think, I think she's an awesome example of I would never know if she wasn't born, but man, I'm really happy she was.
Yeah. Oh, speaking of Kathy Barnett, and we were talking earlier about the establishment. The establishment is exactly why she wasn't the nominee for the Republican Party or the candidate for the Republican Party in the general, and that we had Dr. Oz instead going up against John Fetterman. I'm
okay with Oz at HHS or whatever he's doing right now.
Yeah.
But he should have never been. And who would have thought like Fetterman would have ended up being like mildly reasonable?
Yeah, nobody would have thought that.
Yeah, Kathy should have won. She's fearless and she's strong and she's everything that like they tell you, like the feminist movement tells you that's what they're looking for.
Exactly.
And they never wanted her.
No. Because
she would have been able to say no.
Exactly.
Let's move on to something more exciting. Data centers.
Yeah. Well, I could tell you.
What's your thoughts on them?
My thoughts on them are my thoughts are that they're necessary, but at the same time, I don't want them here yet.
Why do you think they're necessary?
Well, they're necessary because
this is where I'm gonna go tough on you.
Yeah. Well, right now it's like an arms race for AI. If we're not doing it, then China's doing it. India's doing it. Everybody's doing it. Everybody's in an arms race right now for the AI technology.
Do you think that's true?
I do. Yeah.
Do you know how many data centers the United States has?
Probably too many.
Just a guess. It's not like a gotcha.
If I had to guess, I would say triple digits.
Oh, it's about. I think it's slightly under 5,000.
Wow.
In the country.
Yeah.
Do you know how many China has?
How many?
Under 500.
Really?
Yes.
See, I didn't know that.
Yeah. So I think like the arms race. I'm a tinfoil hat guy, obviously. Yeah. I think the arms race is an illusion because once everybody's there, it doesn't matter.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true.
You know what I mean? So it's like if the United States gets there first, if China gets there first, if South Sudan gets there first, we're all going to be
in the singularity
or whatever you want to call it. And I look at data centers in a way where it's like I think it might be a little out there, but like all the data is out there that it is basically there's nothing is personal anymore. There's no privacy. And that is terrifying to me.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I think that there is, I was researching this the other day. Data centers have actually been around since like 1947.
I gotcha.
Which I never knew. I thought they were a new phenomenon.
So did I.
I think they should, I think the middle of the road thing, the compromise on it all is nowhere near neighborhoods, nowhere near people.
Well, I wasn't done with my thoughts on it when I said
I just wanted to show that I'm smart.
But my thoughts on it are and maybe I was saying like a necessary component because I don't want them jumping in the race and throwing a bunch of money around. But
the data centers?
Yeah.
Man, that would be effed up if they did that.
But I want a moratorium on it right now.
So you're in support of like that 3-year moratorium?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, I'm in support of the probably longer than 3 years if it was up to me.
Okay.
1, we don't have the infrastructure for it. 2, in areas like Pike County right now, they're doing eminent domain to put in power lines in order to get the infrastructure for these data centers.
Yeah, that power line thing is a big problem.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. And they had an alternate route before where it would go through the state game lands, and then they scrapped that route in 2023, and now they're just using eminent domain or potentially using eminent domain and pushing it right over the tops of people's houses. So
one of the things that like, it's not just about the data centers. It's not just about the buildings and the constitutional right to a clean and nice environment. The power line issue is a big issue. When you say infrastructure, I mean that we don't produce the megawatts or the the gigawatts or whatever to handle it. And, like something like the PUC, which is unelected, gets to have say in that. And people's rights are just trampled upon just by between the building of them and the power is a huge problem.
Yeah. And competing with the power, seeing people's electric bills go up potentially.
Because people don't realize that we end up paying for it.
Yeah, exactly.
The regular user ends up paying for the infrastructure of that.
Yeah. And we also have to look in this, like, what is the proper role of government in this? So is government supposed to be providing subsidies to help build a specific industry? Is government supposed to be using eminent domain to provide the infrastructure to lay it out, or the area to be able to build it?
I mean, just the rumor of it destroys people's property values.
Yeah. Well, there's more than just a rumor up there in Pike County. There's plans in place, and there's people who are speaking out against it. And up in Dingman's Ferry, they have a history of this where 50 years ago they already used eminent domain. The same exact company who's putting in the power lines.
The same company.
Yeah.
Okay.
They used eminent domain to basically buy up half of the town, demolish half of it, and then scrap the plans that they had in the first place for a dam.
Thanks for letting us do all that under false pretenses. We're going to do something totally different now.
Yeah, they literally didn't give a damn.
Okay. Nice dad joke. Yeah. That was great.
I am a single dad.
Are you? What's that like?
I love it. I'm a dad girl, or girl dad. Not a dad girl, but I'm a girl dad, and I love it.
How old is she?
She's 11. She just turned 11. And we actually just celebrated her birthday on President's Day for the first time since she was born.
Oh, because it fell on her actual birthday.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
What's the fight against the data? Sorry for the aside. When I hear people happy about their kids, I'm like, oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
What's the fight? What's going on down there in your district with the data centers versus like how you can correct it, or like what are they trying to push through? What are the elected officials trying to push through for data centers down there?
Yeah. I couldn't tell you the specifics of every area. I know down in Archibald, I think they just switched out two members of their committee or something down there.
Well, they restructured.
Yeah. They restructured, and that is probably going to give the people a leg up down there because the people don't want it. And the people have made that abundantly clear. And I think that the best fighting chance that we have is putting through these blocks through zoning and stuff like that at a township level, at a borough level, to prevent people from getting there in the first place. But at my level, running for state senate would be to just support that moratorium and make it so that way statewide they can't get it done.
Are you having conversations with how big of an issue is it down in your district, the data centers?
It's huge. It's huge. I was asked about it in Susquehanna County, and I was also told by some people up there that they don't have the landscape that's conducive to it. And it's I was also told by other people that that's completely false. They do have the landscape that's conducive to it, but I'm being asked about it in every single county that I go to. Wyoming County, I was asked about it. Susquehanna County, I was asked about it. Pike County, they know it's coming. Luzerne County, obviously, it's a big issue in Wayne County.
What does it say about the elected officials is the majority of the people who voted for them don't want a thing and they still don't stop the thing?
That money in politics is a powerful thing.
I mean, it's that simple.
Yeah, I think money in politics, it could move mountains, and it could, like you said about electing versus selecting.
Yeah,
that's the difference right there.
It's such like to wrap your head around it.
Yeah,
like for the normal Joe to be like, oh, I kind of really don't.
Well, this ties back into the talk about establishment, and you can go all the way back to the 1980s. George Carlin, it's a big club, and you ain't in it.
And you ain't in it.
Mm-hmm.
What do you feel? So, oh man, the data center thing's a big deal, and I don't think people like. I think people realize that it's a big deal for not all the reasons it will manifest itself into being, and I'm happy that they're there.
Yeah,
but like to realize that, like as a citizen, you know, I thought that like this country was, we have a right to self-governance, and the people that we elect are supposed to be the will of the people in a representative government.
Yeah.
And they don't. It seems like they don't care. It seems like they won't stand up for the things that like the people want. Mm-hmm. They'll move on a dime for different issues, but something that's so profound, they won't stand in front of it. And that's why I like Jamie. He's the tip of the spear for a lot of people.
But when they do move on a dime and they move in a bipartisan way, it's some of the worst stuff that gets done. Look at Act 77, where they pushed through.
No, what's that?
Act 77 is where everybody agreed that we should have no excuse mail-in ballots for the state of Pennsylvania. And they started the process to get a constitutional amendment, which would have to go by way of a ballot measure. And then they stopped the process, just pushed it through with a vote. My opponent is one of the ones who supported Act 77. And then there was another one.
We supported unmitigated mail-in ballots?
Yes, during COVID.
Why would anyone do that?
I know, before 2020 too. And this is...
This was like November 2019 or something, wasn't it? It was like in the fall, early winter?
I want to say like they started it before COVID, but I don't want to say it 100%.
I heard a rumor about that.
Yeah, that the process started before COVID and then was... pushed through during COVID.
I heard that was the deal that was made so they get rid of straight party voting.
That's I heard something like that as well. I can't say 100% of
No, you can't. I heard I prefaced it with I heard a rumor.
Yeah, exactly.
And I had a friend who used to be a chief of staff for a state rep, and he called me. He's like, "That's why they did it."
Yeah.
And I was like, "That's crazy. They sold everybody out."
Mm-hmm.
All right, let's move into.
Oh, but hold on. My opponent also voted for an expansion on the mail-in vote, the Act 77 mail-in votes, no excuse mail-in voting with drop boxes and everything in Act 1300. Or
so she wait, it
1300.
expanded by adding drop boxes?
Yeah.
So I'm going to tell you something crazy. There's a few of us that were really concerned about, because according to the law, you can only put in yours or your spouse's into the drop boxes.
And there's people showing up with 20, 30 of them from nursing homes.
We actually caught it on video.
Yeah.
And what we tried to do was, I think it was the 21 election or 22. So here's the crazy thing. So Lackawanna County, I think, has a dozen, maybe half a dozen. I think now it's maybe a half a dozen, but they had about a dozen drop boxes, and they were all in like borough buildings, like township buildings.
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, what was supposed to happen was a representative from the Board of Elections and a sheriff would go around and collect all of those. And they were all supposed to be under surveillance. And when we tried to RTK the logs and we tried to RTK the footage, it wasn't through the county. We had to go to each independent borough where they were holding it. And there was no, what would you call it? Like when everybody does, there was everyone had a different procedure.
Yeah.
About how to get that information.
So no standard operating procedure.
No. And they made it almost impossible for anybody, because I figured out a way to be like, okay, we could check these.
Yeah.
Like we can check the video ones. We can cross-reference it with like the logs to say like we picked up 12 here. So like math would tell you should see at least 6 to 12 people dropping off ballots.
Yeah.
And we just hit roadblock after roadblock for it. There was no election. And I remember looking at my buddy going like, times this by 67 other counties.
Oh yeah.
It's happening everywhere.
Yep.
And they know how to do it. Okay. Do you have a heart out?
No.
Okay. What are the things that it's a quality of life thing. So you want to reduce human suffering, obviously, as somebody who's an elected official. Now a state senator has a broader reach than a state rep. They have a bigger land mass. What are some of the things that are really failing right now, and what are some of the things that you can better it? You can reduce the human suffering.
I got you. Well, I can tell you right now, people are feeling it in their energy bills. And that's not helped by the fact that in 2013, like I said, she voted in favor of the increase to the gas tax. And
is it the natural gas tax, or is that the gasoline?
Gasoline
Okay.
tax. Yeah. So, any type of tax or hindrance on the production of fuel, on the production of energy is bad. So when we see those rising costs of energy, especially through
more taxes.
Yeah.
What did somebody say? They said all
more taxes or red tape, because there's red tape and regulations that go into it as well. And we don't want people going in and just totally dismantling the landscape to go, especially in areas where they're basically stealing mineral rights from other people and not telling them about the post-production costs of these things, where people who are expecting to get compensated for their mineral rights that they're basically selling are having no idea about the post-production value of some of these things, and it's going by the wayside. But that's besides the point. The cost of energy is too much. The regulation and red tape on it is one of the things that makes the cost of energy rise. The taxes on energy, and the gas tax was just one example of that. But obviously, with the utility companies as well.
So what do you think about that vote yesterday where it was, they almost got rid of property taxes? Did you see that?
I would have loved that. Yeah, I would have loved that. I think the amount of spending with state, local, federal, the amount of spending in government is outrageous. And a lot of it is unnecessary, and it's not the proper role of government in the first place to be spending the money on a lot of the things that they're spending the money on. And if something like that were to go through, I think something like that is feasible if we would just resort back to, especially during times of budget disagreement like we've had in the past recently, and like we're going to have in the future, if we just resort to single issue spending bills.
Well, I know people in the United States Congress have been trying to do that, and it seems like there's an infection that has made it to the state of Pennsylvania that they won't do that, because like, wouldn't that make sense? But single issues instead of all these things packaged together that no one knows what it is. Exactly.
But I think when you have deadlock, like we've had until November, and like we're going to have in the next budget arguments that they have, if you have more than one senator or more than one representative submitting these single issue spending bills, and they're on topics that are necessary, like funding for emergency services, then they have to do something about it. And then you just keep doing it and doing it and doing it, and have as many single issue spending bills piling up as possible that require a vote. And then you force these politicians to stake their reputation on the things that they're willing to fund. And then you know who needs to go.
Would you not work with a politician because of a political party that they're in?
I support the moratorium that was introduced by a Democrat.
So so you would not, there's a perception that if you're on Team R or Team D, you guys don't talk to each other.
I know there's the perception of that, but I think a lot of it, including possibly in this property tax bill, a lot of that is literally just a perception that's done on purpose, like the establishment thing and the conversation about it's a big club and you ain't in it.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think a lot of it is topics that they don't want to solve because it's issues that they can run on. It's things that they want to put poison pills in the middle of some bills to make sure that they don't pass. And it's just, they don't want to do anything that's actually effective for the people. Nobody in politics, it seems like, except for people like Jamie, people like Don Kiefer, are doing anything to benefit the people. There's always something in it for them.
So you're at least wanting to end that.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I'm running based on my morals and my values, not based on personal enrichment or the sake of power.
I don't think you ever answered that. Why? What was do you remember the moment when you said, "All right, I'm running"?
The documentary.
So that you watched that, and then when the credits rolled, you were like, "I'm in."
when I saw that, I thought, she's got to go. That's what I thought. So like, I got to support whoever's
so you think you were
her.
betrayed?
What's that?
Do you think you were betrayed?
Yeah, absolutely. I think all of District 20 was betrayed.
Do you think they know that?
No. I know they don't know that because I'm knocking doors and I'm talking to them. The moment that I bring up KOOTH, it's like, wait, what is KOOTH? And oh my goodness, I would have never thought like she would do anything like this. Even the people who are saying, oh, I've been friends with her for 20 years, or I've been friends with her since high school. And I mean, it's pretty easy to get a yard sign out for me right now.
Has she been asked to defend that? Has anybody publicly asked her to defend that? And what was the response? Does anybody know?
I don't think so.
Because I can't think of any instance, because I would have thought like Jamie would have been like, hey, this is the reason why.
Yeah. I think that they're trying to run away from the issue as much as possible. And I think they're going to continue to run away from the issue as much as possible. She's trying to position her campaign right now to be the pro 2A campaign. And she's talking about how she's a backstop for the Second Amendment, and she's
yeah, but you're not a backstop for protecting kids.
Yeah, well, yeah.
Is like, I'm happy you're for the guns, but
yeah.
like,
yeah,
where are you at protecting the kids?
But even on the issue of guns, she's not good on that either. Like she'll claim that
what's a backstop for the Second Amendment? What does that mean? That's like a baseball term? Well,
I mean, anybody who shoots guns knows like the backstop is the thing that's behind the target that catches the bullets. And it's like, if you're pro Second Amendment, you don't want to be a backstop for the Second Amendment. You want to be the gun which the person is firing proverbial bullets at the backstop for. Let somebody else be the backstop. Let's pass pro 2A legislation like they passed down in Texas, where if you get a suppressor that's produced in the state of Texas and sold to a Texan in the state of Texas, then they don't follow the NFA requirements. They're not going to register them. They're not going to pay the $200 tax stamp. They're not going to go through any of that crap. The ATF is cut out.
So my buddy, the Army Ranger buddy,
yeah,
he was a big. This is how far like I've gone. So like I used to be like, everyone needs a background check.
Yeah.
Everyone needs a mental health. Like, and to some degrees, like, yeah, sure. And I was really thinking about it, and I'm like, all right, well, what's the Second Amendment about? The Second Amendment it is about protecting your person and property, but mostly it's about a tyrannical government.
Exactly.
Right.
Exactly.
And there's this lady named Lily Tan, I think her name is. She's up in like Massachusetts.
I know who you're talking about with the David Hogg.
Yes. Yeah. Can you guarantee me that my government will not become tyrannical? He said, no. She goes, I'm keeping my guns.
Yeah. Then the Second Amendment debate is over.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I said to him, and you know, Rangers, man, they're the first guys in there. They're securing the runways. So I said, he's like, well, I think we need to register and background check and stuff. And I said, well, let me ask you a question. He goes, yeah. I said, if you're going into a place, do you get like a briefing before you go, or do they go like, good luck? And he's like, no, we get a briefing. I said, so you kind of know like how many people are there, what the armory is, like what kind of guns they have. Do they have like RPGs, grenades, like, and it maybe not all of it, but like best guess.
Yeah.
He goes, yeah. I said, why would you want a tyrannical government to know that?
Yeah, exactly.
And he goes, I wouldn't. And I said, well, and I kind of just switched him, and he was like, all right, I see it. I see what you're saying. And I'm like, there's no but, man, as much as it's crazy. And then there's books that people have written about like areas of the United States that have more lax, they have less gun restrictions.
Yeah.
They're actually safer.
Yeah. Per capita.
And people are happier.
Yeah.
Which is weird because everyone has this whole FAFO thing.
Oh yeah.
It's like, okay, I'm going to be a little bit more polite because
an armed society is a polite society.
It's crazy, but they just don't want to think. They don't want to think about that. And the gun statistics on death, a large proportion of it is self-inflicted.
Yeah. Oh yeah, for sure.
And they don't include that they don't say that.
No.
And they just make it seem like, you know, everybody's just running around Detroit with Uzis.
Yeah.
You know, so I'm with you. Does she stand for that?
Well, I could tell you, there's a few things. So she's blocked 67 gun control bills that she's bragging about, but she's also held back pro-gun legislation. So much so that some of the gun rights organizations had to literally run push campaigns to get her to pull some pro-gun legislation like constitutional carry out of committee and put it to the floor for a vote.
Oh, so she holds the bills in the committee.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
And nothing gets out unless it's out of the committee, which is basically like one person's opinion.
Yeah. So if she's going to hold
that's frightening.
Yeah, she'll brag about holding up gun control, but she won't talk about how she holds up pro-gun legislation that'll advance Second Amendment causes like that constitutional carry. Because why is it that we need to go and register for a permit to be able to do our constitutional right? That's like going and saying that you needed a permit to talk on this podcast, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Where's she at on free speech?
So this is what I could tell you about how she is on free speech. I was actually set to have a speaking event at an organization that I won't name. And her and her lackeys, this establishment that I'm talking about, the Antibody response. I actually wasn't going to talk about this, but
come on, Tyler. Come on, Tyler.
Since I'm not naming names or organizations or locations, she actually had some people on a Republican committee reach out to an establishment that was going to have me out to speak, who is adding on to their establishment, and threaten their permits that if they had me to speak and if I got an endorsement by them, they would have their permits pulled.
Oh my God.
Yes. And if that's the case, obviously they wouldn't be able to add on to their establishment anymore, or worse, they'd be in the middle of adding on to their establishment and then have permits pulled and be in the middle of it. But, so they canceled my speaking event, which led to a pretty big endorsement that I was set to get, a very big endorsement. I was told specifically that it would be a blank check, and in regard to human rights, and that endorsement's been pulled out from under me, and now so I guess that's how she is on free speech. She's
that's pretty oppressive.
Yeah and that's the antibody response that I'm talking about. So like earlier when you were asking about the antibody response, I chomping at the bit to want to say that, but I wasn't going to say it in respect of the company, because I get it for the company. Like, you're doing what you have to do to,
yeah, but that's the problem.
Yeah.
Like, everybody, like, you either have free speech or you don't, because an endorsement is free speech.
Yeah. And you have to have courage. And I mean, that's what I think I'm trying to do with this entire race, is just speak courageously, speak truth to power, and do what I can to stand on my morals and values and convictions.
You know, the crazy thing about America is it used, like, Congress was there. It's like the greatest debaters.
Yeah.
You know, you could, like, at any point, anybody can go and watch their elected representatives or senators debate, and may the best idea win. And when you take that away from people, you're definitely oppressing the voting public. Yeah. Because if you don't allow, like, you should, if you don't get in, if you go say the things that you're supposed to say and you mean what you say, and whatever organization it is gets to have their member body have a vote, or somebody say, like, we are for this person or against this person. When you don't have that open debate, you are now being oppressive. Yeah. Like, you are now being an authoritarian. Exactly. and a dictator. Yeah. Through fear. We're not supposed to take away people's rights by fear. I don't care what it is. And that's freedom of speech. Yeah. Freedom of speech, unfortunately, like, the Citizens United kind of went crazy about, like, the the super PACs and how much money they can give, and how they influence things. But man, even, like, locally they're doing it, which is the fractal nature of it.
Absolutely.
Man, I'm sorry that happened to you.
Well, I mean, I don't
think you're a victim. I'm just, saying, like, that should have never happened. No, that's anti-American.
I think, it's us versus the establishment. Everybody loves an underdog. Everybody hates the establishment. And even if they can't correctly define what the establishment is, we all know what we're talking about when we say it. Yeah. It's the club. And a vote for me is a vote against the establishment. That's pretty much it. That's why I'm doing this. It's against the establishment, and it's in favor of the values that are going to protect the unborn, that are going to protect our children, that are going to protect our right to keep and bear arms, our right to free speech. And it's just practicing our civic duty to do what's right.
I've been watching you for a couple months, man. I got a pretty good bullshit detector.
Yeah.
I don't think you're bullshit, and I think you're the real deal.
Well, I can tell you, I'm only going to stand on my values. That's it.
Well, that's all you have. And like, you know, one of the biggest problems with elected officials is like there is that thing that we talked about where it's like, you know, one side against the other, with you're either team D or team R. But like up here, I'm friends with a lot of Democrats.
Yeah.
And I'm friends with them because they're genuine.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? They're not trying to bullshit me. They're not trying to sneak something past me. They're absolutely genuine people. Even if I disagree with them substantively on issues.
Yeah.
I know that they're genuine people.
And I can respect more. No, that's maybe too far.
Take two.
I was gonna say that I can respect more the blue-haired person advocating for crazy things, if they believe them. But no,
that's a mental illness that is so hard to understand, except for like SSRIs and social media. Like I don't understand it. I just don't understand it. I call it extinctionism.
Yeah.
Because ultimately it leads to the death of the human race.
And that's just like a sad gad calling it suicidal empathy.
It's the Parasitic Mind was the book he wrote, and it's suicidal empathy. He's a smart dude, man.
Yeah, he is. But here's a better way to sum it up. Like respecting somebody like who stands on their convictions, like Bernie Sanders. He's totally wrong about most of the things that he believes and professes, and that's a philosophy that's been totally dismantled every time it's ever been tried. And if you read any of the literature on communism or socialism, it all falls apart at the slightest bit of questioning. But you can tell he believes what he's saying, and he stands on it, or at least used to. So,
well, I turned on Bernie when he bent the knee
to Hillary.
Yes.
Yeah.
And you know, because I at least respected him up until then.
And a lot of people turned towards Trump because of that.
But like, it seems that like Bernie's a little bit more willing to sit down and have a conversation. Yeah. And I think that's the most important thing. Like if you disagree with someone and you could sit down and talk with them without, you know, getting emotional, which is kind of like the problem I have with like the hard left right now, is that you can't, like when you try to talk to them. Yeah. I have a relative, like a really close relative, that when you try to talk to him about any of these issues, he starts to shake, and it's like madness. You're like, whoa. Like, I just don't agree. Like, that's okay. Like, we can still agree to like disagree and still get like a steak dinner or like sit by a campfire and like appreciate good music. Mm-hmm. And we've lost that. We've siloed everybody from having the conversations. Like, nothing would make me happier than the elected officials in Harrisburg to be friends. Yeah. You know, it's a lot harder to hate a person after you talk to them. Bill Maher says it. He goes, everybody's a monster until you talk to them. Yeah. Yeah. And to speak to it being a mental illness, we're the told, crazy left shit. Yeah. We're told that we're cult members if we're Trump supporters, but we're being told this by people who believe that the world is ending. There's a climate catastrophe and we have to sacrifice cows because they fart in order to change the weather. So, I mean, I look at the world in like a time machine. Yeah. So it's like you look back right now and you look at the Mayans and the Incans and you're like, man, they were cutting people's heads off and throwing them down pyramids for the sun god. Mm-hmm. And now we're sterilizing and mutilating children for the climate god, and none of it makes sense. Yeah. And like I hate to break it to the left, but like the less CO2 you have, the less food you can grow. Yeah. Yeah. And exactly. Let me ask you a question. This is not a gotcha. Okay. Do you know what percentage of the atmosphere is carbon dioxide? It's a very, very small percent. I think it's like less than 4%. 0.04%. That's it. Yeah. Anything under 0.3, shit stops growing. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So like right now we can abundantly grow food. Yeah. And if our agriculture wasn't poison, but like we could do it. Yeah. But what happens also in a greenhouse? They pump in CO2. And also like they talk about these greenhouse gases and everything else like that. And a greenhouse, stuff grows bigger. Yeah. Also that hole over the Antarctica. Yeah. Nobody did anything, but it's closing up. Exactly. That's weird. Yeah. That's real strange. No, that's because the government intervened and banned hairspray. That's what it was. Yeah. It was too much Aquanet in the 90s. This is why you have to give us money so that we could take money and throw it at the sun. Most of our debt is fraud. in my opinion, most of it.
Nick Shirley is proving that.
But is anybody gonna do anything about it?
No.
And
Because it's a big club and you ain't in it.
Here's where we're at.
Yeah.
I wish you absolute success. I know it's a tough climb because of the lineage there and the time that has been in that office with your opponent.
Yeah.
I've never, full disclosure, never met her. Have no idea anything about her. But like KOOTH, just KOOTH alone would be enough to be like, yeah, no.
I could tell you about, I've met her. I've had 2 interactions with her. But the first interaction that I had with her, she came to me at that establishment event in Luzerne County I spoke about. She came to me in private afterwards, like when I was the only one at the table, and came over to wish me.
Was sitting there eating?
Just getting ready to pack up, getting ready to take off. And she came up to me and said, well, I wish you luck in the race, and shook my hand. And I thought, wow, class act, cool. So I shook her hand and I was like, well, thank you. I wish you luck too. And I mean, if I get anything out of this, like I know it's hard to unseat an incumbent. So if I get anything out of this, I just hope I can pull you a little bit further to the right. And then it was like a switch was flipped and she became a totally different person and her face scrunched up. And she said, I am on the right. You should look at my voting record. And it caught me off guard. So I was like,
really?
Yeah. I was like, further right. Like that was the only thing I could say at the time. And then she like kept her face scrunched off and stormed off with like a, but
you should be able to take criticism as an elected official, especially for that long.
Yeah, to be honest with you, it was kind of embarrassing because I thought like, wow, I've only ever seen like a behavior like this from a child. But when she did that though, all I can think was like, your voting record is anything but right. You're pro-abortion. I won't say pro-choice. You're pro-abortion.
Yeah.
Yeah. And pro-abortion, you hold back pro-2A legislation. You put in mail-in ballots. You expanded upon mail-in ballots. You passed a bill, HB 2060, that allowed for certain PFAs that are put on people without due process because they could just be put on with an accusation, where now they have to confiscate your weapons in order if you get the PFA.
Wait, she was for that?
Yes, she voted in favor.
No.
Of that. Yep.
That means any psycho can claim somebody else as a psycho.
And I know 2 people personally who did nothing wrong and have had PFAs placed on them and had their guns taken away from them.
Oh,
and
boy, oh boy.
And those PFAs later on went on to be dropped. Nothing ever happened.
But nevertheless.
Yeah. And as a matter of fact, both of those situations, they were actually being harassed by their ex.
It's always how that works.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm going to accuse them of being violent and they're going to get because it's, God damn it.
So she was in favor of that. But then on top of that, now talks about how police need more funding when they go to serve PFAs. Well, no, duh, because you just offered basically one of the most dangerous positions that you could possibly have. You made it more dangerous by telling them not only do you have to go and serve a PFA in a domestic situation, but now you have to go and serve a PFA and take their guns away from them.
Yeah, and for those who aren't paying attention, in history, the ones who took away the weapons were never the good guy.
Yeah.
Ever.
Yeah.
Man. Sometimes people are in office too long that they can't see the forest for the trees and they don't remember why they were there.
Yeah.
They don't remember what they're supposed to be there for. And a lot of it becomes very selfish.
Oh, yeah.
And not selfless. Like service is selfless.
Mm-hmm.
And you're familiar with that.
Yeah, absolutely. It was in the Army Creed. I could tell you firsthand, I could tell you I'm not going to serve more than 12 years, guaranteed.
Is it a 4-year term, 6-year term?
4-year terms.
Okay.
I would tell you right away that I would sign an agreement and hold myself to it, swear under oath that I would only do 2 terms, but I don't know if I would accomplish everything that I think we could get accomplished within 8 years, because if it was 2 6-year terms, easy, limit it to 2 terms.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm between 2 and 3 terms right now as to what I think the term limit should be. But I think that's for somebody to debate in an Article 5 convention of states, because we're never going to get it through the House, the Senate, and signed by the governor.
Yeah.
So that's going to have to be
because that's a constitutional amendment.
Yeah. with parameters, hopefully. So you stick parameters around what they can discuss there, so that way there's not a runaway convention with the Second Amendment or anything else.
Anything else that you can think of?
When
you win, will you come back? Was it bad? Like, was it bad to sit here?
No, it wasn't bad.
Yeah, it wasn't bad.
If I win, I'll definitely come back. And if I lose, I'll come back too. No.
That'd be fun. Well, then there's no pressure.
Yeah, right?
Then we can just talk about books.
That'd be fun.
I want to thank you. I think it takes a lot of courage and a lot of bravery to just even get yourself on the ballot. And, you know, I'm definitely one of those people who leans towards, like, as long as you have, like, America and the little sliver that you're going to represent, as long as that's first and foremost in your thinking, I think you can be an amazing representative of the people. And I think, and look, like I said, I never met her, don't know really much about her, but just the KOOTH thing alone now that I know about the PFA thing, that's even worse.
Oh yeah.
Well, it's not worse than KOOTH, but now my opinion is even worse. Tyler Meyers, where can people find you?
You can follow us on Tyler for State Senate on Facebook. You can go to myersforpa.com, and on there you can sign up to donate. You can sign up to volunteer, or just read a little bit more about me and my beliefs, my background, and there's some flyers also that we're passing around that will have my personal contact information on it, where you can reach out to me personally as well.
Where would you be grateful for people? What roles could people help out that would you be grateful for?
We need door knockers. We need a lot. We have a lot of door knockers, but we need even more. We want to be door knocking across all 5 counties and really getting as many yard signs out there as possible.
You're a good dude, man. I wish you all the luck in the world. And I think I know that if you win, Pennsylvania will be better.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thanks for coming here, man. I hope you had a good time.
Absolutely. Thank you. God bless you.
God bless you. I didn't get to say that before. God bless you, Tyler. Awesome.
I appreciate it.
All right, man. Thanks.